Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 330, I'm very lucky, privileged to have Alyssa Joshua.
Well said.
Yes, I got it right.
Thanks,
On
Mila.
the podcast. No worries, no worries. She is, she is executive coach, a high octane transformation professional. Oh, how are you today, my lady?
I am doing well. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Mila.
I am super excited to be here too. Oh my lord, the dramas, but we won't go into that. We shall smile and we shall go forward. Now, I have to ask,
Mhm.
executive coach,
Yes.
for those people out there, what is an executive coach, and why do you get paid for what you do?
Yeah. So there are a lot of coaches now and there are a lot of titles. The reason that I coined myself an executive coach is because I feel like if you're over 30 and you're alive, you don't really need a life coach. You've made it this far. But executive coaching really helps people who are looking to move themselves forward personally and professionally. And we can't go it alone. Like the idea of like it takes a village, that's really the case in all aspects in life. And so having accountability, having partnership, that's what I'm working on with my clients. And, we don't always see ourselves the most clearly, right? So we have stories, we have different ways we view things. So having somebody there to partner with you, to ask you questions, to challenge your thinking and to challenge your viewpoint on things, or sometimes just to ask you, is that true? Can be really helpful. So that is what an executive coach does. What I do is I walk with my clients and help them accomplish things that they didn't think they could get to themselves.
Hmm. So, in other words, helping them sort of get past their own mental glass ceiling, if you will.
Correct. That's a very succinct way of putting it. Yes, I'm stealing that.
Okay, no problem. Don't worry, there's royalties out there already. Cut me a check and you'll be fine. Hurrah!
Deal.
Ah, my word. I see. So, with that, helping other people get through their own mental glass ceiling, how did you get past your own mental glass ceiling? I imagine there was one or two in your lifetime.
There have been many. So mine was also through coaching. So before I became a coach, I was in a job that I liked and I was doing well. And another friend who is a colleague and coach asked me if the job that I was doing, like, did I love it? And I was like, I don't really love it. Like, it's fine. And he
Hmm.
asked me, well, what would you love? Like, what's your dream job? What would you love to be doing? And I couldn't really answer that, which sort of hit me like I should probably be able to answer that. So I started working with a coach, and I now have several coaches in my life because I practice what I preach, which I think is important if you're looking for a coach that they also coach. But it's really about working with people to help me do the same thing. And even now, even with the skill set I have, sometimes I'll go to my coach and I'll say, I've gotten myself 80% of the way, but there's this last hurdle I just can't quite get over. And it's because sometimes all of us, we just can't see like other options, and it's colored by our experience or what our parent told us or what our friends say about it. And so it's really about having somebody say, okay, have you thought about this, or is that true, or what if you do this? And so I really lean into the discomfort of things. So when my coach suggests something and I kind of feel that it makes me uncomfortable, I go like, that's probably what I need to do. So that is how I continue like move through those areas.
Like this is the thing. It's one of those things where people, I think, would be surprised that yeah, a coach needs their own coach to
Oh,
sort of
definitely.
like
Yeah,
help them through their sort of day to day. It's like you're a coach. You're meant to have had it all sus, all worked out.
that's right.
Like,
If
yeah,
only I had it all worked out. Yeah,
yeah.
I can get myself further than I could before. And,
Mm,
like if you're doing a downward spiral or you're kind of spinning out, what I even tell my clients and what I notice for myself is it's a much shorter time now. So you can kind of catch yourself more quickly, but it doesn't
mm,
change the fact that we're all just humans, we're all people, we're trying to do our best. And sometimes you need somebody else to say, like, wait a minute, let's look at this a different way. But it's to me it's really helpful because sometimes it's just that very minor shift in your thinking that can really propel you forward quite a bit.
a shift in one's thinking to help propel you forward.
Mhm.
Yeah. So with I have to ask because look, you've been how long have you been coaching now?
I've been a coach for over 6 years, and I have been working with a coach for 8 or 9 at this point, I would say.
Yeah.
And
No, please continue.
oh, in corporate background, a lot of times when you look back on life, you see these things. So I was doing training and development for a restaurant group for a long time, and I did operations and client success. So a lot of my background was training and mentorship before I even realized, like, oh wait, that can be a job where that's truly my main focus. So it's one of those things where I look back now and I go, oh, I was actually doing that for a lot longer than I realized, but officially been a coach for a little over 6 years.
So would you say like there was the small triggers before you came to that sort of had that conversation with your friend, like going, yeah, are you doing the dream like your dream job? And you're like, huh, am I? Like, was there any sort of micro triggers before that, like to say, oh, am I going in the right direction?
I think so because I did a lot of mentorship and would lead women's groups at church. And I coach men and women, but a lot of my clients end up being women, and I still lead women's groups and that type of thing. I really enjoy mentorship and leadership. And I'm an I'm like an external processor. I like to talk about things and think about it out loud. So doing that with other people is a lot of fun for me. And I just love walking beside people and they call me and they're like, I got that promotion, or my book has been published, or whatever it is. Like, they're doing the work. I just get to kind of walk beside them and watch them do it, and it's so exciting. But that's something I've always really enjoyed. So it was a natural transition for me to go into this role.
Yeah, because like this is the thing. Listening to like your story, listen to how you're talking. Like there's the old saying: if you want to go, like if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go together.
Mhm.
And I think what a lot of people fall into the trap of, and like I'm a victim of it as well. Like they everyone's trying to go fast, but they're
Mhm.
not actually picking up the fact that yeah, life can be brief, but life can be long, and you need to sometimes take that far journey. And not having the right people around themselves, like
Mhm.
either mentors, coaches,
Right.
or just like a good supportive group, they forget that's what will help them be more, having those good people around them, be more, going with that group
Yeah.
will help them like grow and develop. Mm, I don't like maybe
100%.
yeah,
No, absolutely. One of the things I even do with my clients is a social circle audit, because there's a couple of things, like, do you have the right mentors in place? Do you have people who are cheering for you? And
mm,
sometimes even when you are working on a specific goal, especially if it's something that feels a little bit like outlandish or out of the norm for the people around you, you have to
yeah,
think about how you're talking to the people in your life and even what you're sharing, because sometimes, like, let's say you tell me a dream, if it's outside of my comfort zone and makes me very uncomfortable, I might put my fears on you. Well, I don't know if you should do that. Is that really a good idea? And so sometimes it's even, we don't necessarily cut people out, but sometimes it's about how much do I share with certain people while I'm on this journey, because they don't really understand, and they'll try to hold you back because it excuse me, makes them uncomfortable. Pardon my cough. So
no,
really assessing who's around you, like, how are they elevating you? How are they speaking to you? Um, because their fears are going to impact you, and that can also hold you back, because you're like, well, is it true? Is what they're saying right? I don't know. And that's not to say that the feedback doesn't need to be analyzed, but sometimes it doesn't serve us, so we can just let it go. But that's a big part of it. And I think too, we've had a lot of experiences, all of us probably, where we've thought we could rely on people and then we couldn't. And so we think, well, I can't rely on others, so I'm just going to go it alone. So it's important to know that you can go further with other people and make sure that those are people you can trust.
yeah, like this is the thing. One of the things I'll add to that, like as much as it comes down to fear, I also say it will also come down to love. Because like yeah, through the love of like some family members, like friends and stuff
Right.
like this, I don't want you to get hurt. It's not a case of like, yeah, so like my love's gonna help protect you from
Right.
like this big grand challenge. And I think that sometimes it's not like it just gets in the way and
Mhm.
it just holds you back. Like, because like also with regards to like, yeah, doing a social audit of like the people around you,
Mhm.
it it is tricky for some people because in some regards they don't have a lot of people around them at all, you know.
Right.
Mm. What do you say to people who are in that sort of realm where they look around and go, okay, got close friends? One, two.
Right.
Like, got a mentor? No. Like anyone you can turn to? Like, no. Like, how do you get that person to like move from that sort of position of discomfort, like comfort, excuse me, into a new position? How do you get that switch?
Yeah, then we're really looking at like why have you isolated for certain reasons? Have you found that people have, not been trustworthy? Why are you choosing to isolate yourself? Why are you choosing people who are not trustworthy? Sometimes we're doing it but we don't even know why. And then okay, great. Let's try something like a new networking event. Let's see what it looks like to make some friends. Let's go to a meetup. So sometimes it's literally making commitments around expanding your network, expanding your reach, and doing the uncomfortable thing. And if you're an introvert, maybe we start a little bit smaller, and I don't push people to, you have to go to 10 networking events in a week or things like that. But it's like, let's try one thing that's a little bit different and see what it looks like.
Yeah. Like from like what has been that one thing? Like, is there a sort of one typical thing, or is it change all the time?
I think it changes all the time and it depends on the person, right? If you're looking to expand professionally, it might be networking groups. If you're looking to expand personally, it might be like you like hiking, join a meetup and meet some people who are also hiking. It might be joining a small group at your church, which for some people, even though it's only a group of 10 people, might feel really scary. So it's kind of finding that one thing that works for the person I'm talking to.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Because I imagine as an executive, like, yeah, as like I find it most probably is quite strange to me saying that, yeah, if people have got no one around them, you think an executive is a role where you have to be communicating, you have to be involved quite a lot. But don't, sometimes I think it's a case of if you're specialized in one particular field, that you can just get ringed off. Like, what would you like? What would you say? Is there a sort of common theme where executives have like there's this one thing they're all trying to get over? It might be bigger in some respects or smaller in others, like depending.
Mm. Oh goodness, that's a loaded question. One thing they're all trying to get over. I don't
Mm,
know if there is a one thing that it's funny, I'll see themes sometimes, like I'll work
mm,
with a lot of clients all of a sudden about people pleasing, or a lot of clients all of a sudden around confidence. But I don't know if there's just one thing. What I do find is that the higher up you get, you can end up being more isolated. So making sure that even at a higher level, you have people who you can trust, and that you have people who will give you contradictory opinions. That's not the right word, but like sometimes when you're the CEO, everybody's just agreeing with you. So as a
yeah,
coach, I can come in and ask questions that maybe are more disruptive, but your team may or may not do that. So creating an environment where they feel comfortable asking questions that are different from your opinion, specifically to create that disruption, which is where growth lives.
I see. Basically, trying to find authentic people they can rely on.
Yes.
Which I see. Tricky, 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 tricky.
It is. It is. It's not easy. That certain masterminds and things like that exist specifically so you can be talking about like what are the things that you're dealing with at the C-suite level that are different. When you're just dealing at the if you're not looking at the 30,000 foot view. So other people who have that same view, and then people who will give you like, hey, I'm in the middle here and I'm seeing some stuff and I want to be able to elevate that to you and be able to listen to it.
Mm, like elevating to the next level. Like, what if someone came to you and yes, I've been VP of marketing for the last blah blah blah. Blah. I want to be like COO or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, is it a case of you sit them down and go, okay, now this is your vision quest board, and now let's go forward with that, or is it some other method?
Well, yeah, I always start with vision with clients. Excuse me. So, as you know, if you don't have a vision, if we don't have a lighthouse, we could be going all different directions. So,
Mm.
now, but if you have been the VP for a while and now you want to go into C suite, I'm really going to ask you why. Like, why is it your vision? Is it more money? Do you want to expand your knowledge base? Like, what's the growth here? Like, why are we doing it? Does it really make sense for you? Or do you just kind of like think it's what you should do? So I want to be really clear why we're doing it and how it serves you and your larger vision for your life. So I'm getting clear with my clients on this one particular vision, career related, and also what they're looking for in their life, because that's how we can then say yes and no to things appropriately to move us forward. And then I'm looking at, okay, again, like what kind of mentorship do you need to get there? What kind of skills do you need? Why haven't you gotten there already? Like, are there ways that you're holding yourself back? Who's helping you get there? So we're really doing an analysis of all the things that might be either helping you get there or holding you back so that we can then look at commitments around moving you forward.
Right. How long does that normally take? Is it a case of, is it one session, two sessions, 10 sessions?
Oh, usually I work with my clients for 3 to 6 months, sometimes up to 12 months. It really depends. You know, if it's January and you
Mm.
really want to spend the year working on, okay, this is where I want to be at this time next year, we're going to spend that time and we'll coach over the course of like 2 or 3 calls a month. And then some clients have something very specific that they want to work on very quickly. So we'll meet weekly for 3 months and really just take very quick action to move them forward. And I always want to look at too, like if you want to move to a C-suite role, let's say, you have to consider like, are you staying with your company? Are you moving companies? What is your company's timeline for you being able to go into that position? So sometimes it can move very quickly, and other times we are moving towards a goal, but there are also external pieces that play into it as well. So
Yeah, I can imagine. But like, this is the thing. Sometimes, like, getting them to understand what the true cost of that what could be. I don't think many people actually look at the cost. I think they kind of look at the reward, but
that's
they
right.
don't actually pay the price. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's why I talk to clients about all the things, because sometimes you're working your way up the corporate ladder. And then when you can finally see the job above you that you've been working towards and you realize what it actually takes, people will go
Mm.
like, oh, I don't know if I want that. So that's why I really want to understand their vision for their life. Because if you are trying to work less hours, you're working 60 and you want to work 45 because you want to be there for your kids or your children are out of the house and you want to travel more, do you want to take a job that's probably going to be 60 to 70 hours a week? Or do you want to go, to a job that's maybe more of an individual contributor than managing people? And okay, that means your salary might change. And can you manage that? So we're really trying to look at things holistically, because professional and personal, trying to take them apart really just doesn't work, right? If you're not happy in one, it's probably affecting the other and vice versa. So I like to look at everything and say, why are we doing this? And does it really make sense for you?
Mm. It must be one of those things where it must be a little bit tricky at times, because when people do something like this type of exercise, it gets them to actually sort of really look at themselves and come to like the truth, which can sometimes not be the most pretty thing in the world, you know?
It can, yes. And like I tell my clients, like, I love you, I have empathy, but I will also be saying things that you might not want to hear sometimes. Because sometimes it is that admission of like, are you really ready for that? Or even sometimes I'll have clients, they're talking to me, they're like, I want a raise, I want a promotion. I'm like, well, tell me about your job and what are you doing differently? And sometimes it's like, well, that's actually your job. So if I was your boss, why would I give you a raise? Why would I give you a promotion right now? So it's just asking sometimes those just pointed life questions around, why do we want this? Does it really make sense? Are you looking at it from a view that makes sense for you too? So it just kind of depends on who I'm working with and what their goals are.
I can imagine this that's led to one or two, say, awkward conversations.
I can usually tell people's faces just changed, and I'm like, okay, so we didn't like what I just said there. Tell me about what's going on.
Oh man, oh man. So when you see the inevitable face change, like, is it a case of you subtly give the truth bombs out, or is it a case of you that's like, hey, exit stage door?
No, it's usually subtly, like, what, one at a time, because we're dealing in things. And I always want to be, in with my clients in their emotions and have empathy, because sometimes the truth is hard to hear, but once it's out there, then we can talk about, okay, if we know that to be true, what do you want to be different about it, right? And that can be a relationship with somebody, it can be job related, it can be your vision for your life. But like, if we know the truth, we can go from there. If we're avoiding it or hiding from it or pretending it doesn't exist, it's very hard to really move forward.
Ah, very true. Very true. No, because like this is the thing. I with regards to sometimes in my life, and I've seen other people when they're kind of you see the truth is there,
Mhm.
and like everyone sort of skirts around the truth if it's, especially if there's pain or
Right.
ugliness which is entwined in it. But until you actually sort of like, okay, you know what, embrace that truth, it might be painful, but it's the way forward. And I don't think many people understand that, you know?
I agree. I know most of my clients are doing coaching and therapy because I'm like, you got to dig in on all this stuff. I kind of, the internal work and exploration is interesting to me, because like, if you broke your arm, you wouldn't go
Mm,
around leaving it broke. You would get it set. Or if you broke your arm and it got set wrong and it gave you discomfort and you couldn't really use your arm, even though you know it would be painful, you would probably re-break it and set it properly so that you could use your arm. But with internal stuff, we don't do that. We're so keen on avoiding the pain that we don't work through it, knowing that on the other side is a different level of freedom.
yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. That sort of find that sort of next level of freedom. And like it's it's one of those things, but it's executive coaching. Yes, it's executive coaching, but it's a case of if you really want to move on to that next level, it means you're trying to bring a sense of order and control that you've not had, or discover something about yourself
Mhm.
that you don't know yet, which requires like, yeah, change on that sometimes on a small scale, but still fundamental change. And without that fundamental change, you're never going to grow. You're never going to develop. You're never going to be potentially that person you want to be. And, you know?
Yeah, very true. And I think at this point, for most people, especially the clients I coach with, it's very much like dial clicks. Like, we're just doing little clicks, or we're past the, I'm a block of stone and I'm sledgehammering it. We're just doing like little, chiselings around, because we've done the work, and life, as you've worked your way up, let's say as an executive or as an entrepreneur, kind of teaches you those lessons, like the hard knocks stuff. So it's small changes, but they can have a really big impact at this point.
Yeah, because like this is the thing. Like if you look at a plane, if we took a plane from London to New York,
Mhm.
you're off by 2 degrees. Yeah, you could end up in Florida or Canada. You know
Canada.
what I mean? It,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
one of those things, like small incremental like changes.
that's
Ah,
right. And like, a lot of people say, like, well, I don't need a coach. I can do it. You know, you can listen to the podcast, you can read the books, and some people can implement the things that they're learning. But a lot of
mm,
people have read a ton of books, but they're not really seeing any change. And that's where the side by side accountability of walking through it with someone is helpful. Because we might think that we've made the change, or that we've implemented, or we've read it and we're like, yeah, I read it and it's good and I get it and like, logically I understand it. But I've certainly left things that have been very emotionally uplifting, but like 2 or 3 days later, I go, okay, well, what did I really learn and how am I implementing that? But when you're working with a coach who maybe week after week is bringing up the same thing to you, then you really are shifting.
it's like it's like you. Why do you keep saying that? You said that about 10 times.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah. Wait a
No,
minute.
it's like, wait a second.
Yep.
Oh, enlightenment. Ah, is that what I meant to do? Like, oh, Jesus, thank you. Thank you, Jesus. You finally come to the promised land.
Yes. No, right? Sometimes I say that, like, Lord, haven't we worked on this already? And he's like, we have, but this is just another layer of the onion. So,
Yep.
like, my friends and I will joke about, like, don't pray for patience because God will give it to you. right? But like there's always a new sort of layer of learning and finding finding that next sort of version of it, since we're constantly growing and learning, and how can I do that better or differently next time.
I think people too like so often go, I'm like, I'm too old to change. I can't learn these new tricks. Like I'm always going to be the same. That you, which isn't true because life we always change. Look, whether we like, yeah, people around us move away, which will eventually change us, or
Mhm.
just growing older. Yeah, you are always in will change. There's no sort of stagnant moment. And yeah, if you want to grow and develop, pushing yourself, it has to be part of it. And I think
Mhm.
yeah, people don't realize that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I try to find a balance. Like my personal trainer a couple of months ago, she asked me, what do you want to do next? And my coaching brain sort of kicked in, and I had these pictures of like women who were very ripped, and I said, well, what would it take to look like this? She's like,
Oh,
I mean, we don't know like what the lighting is, we don't know what the Photoshop is, we don't know what the implants are, we don't know what their body type is, but knowing you, if you wanted to get there, it would be like this. And I was like, I don't think I want any of that. And she's like, yeah, why don't we just change up your workouts and increase your weight a little bit? And I was like, oh, that's much better. So sometimes too, it's like, what's just keeping me moving and giving me momentum, but it doesn't have to be like way over here. And I was like, okay,
mm,
let me take working out of my coaching brain of like, I don't need to be, nor do I have any interest in being like a competitive weightlifter. I just want to make sure like I'm challenging myself and, confusing my muscles a little bit. So it was a big difference. But I think that that's a part of it too, is like it doesn't always have to be like a crazy, like people think, well, I don't want to write a book or like start my own business. Like you don't have to do that, but maybe it's I'd like to have a slightly better relationship with my sister. What does that look like? Or I want to travel more, but I don't really know how to incorporate that because I don't have great work life balance. Great, let's work on that. So it doesn't always have to be something totally like, I want to make $1 million in the next 6 weeks kind of
yeah,
dream. And we can also work on those kinds of things, but it doesn't have to be that.
yeah, I think people always get confused with ideal scenario or the ideal picture.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Oh, because like, yeah, with regards to I would imagine with executive coaching, like they like the people your client some of your clients must already see, yes, this is the pinnacle.
Yeah.
This is what's gonna make me whole in my work life. And it's like you go, yeah, going back to the cost, it's like, yeah, this is what's required for you
Mm.
to be X, Y, and Z. And if you like, I've seen your social media, and you, it's like, I see you on the weekends, like
Yeah.
happy.
Sometimes
That,
it's just the reality of it. Like even for me, like I see those posts where it's like, if you want to be a multimillionaire, you need to get up at 5 a.m. and take a cold shower and meditate and do. And I'm like, no, thank you. Like I have no interest in that. I'll find my version of like when I have my prayer time and what time I'm going to wake up that works best for me. But I'm okay not having those things because I'm also okay not having that life. So maybe you want to write a book, but maybe that's not for you. It's really just like what for you would be fun. And a lot of times people don't have a place where they can really dream at all. And so it's like let's do that a little bit. Like if you let's do what would be like a fun thing for you to do, because people have had a lot of responsibility or they haven't had the freedom to dream, or people have maybe even dashed their dreams a bit. So sometimes it's just dreaming, and it's like you just would really like to take a trip to a certain place. Great, let's figure out what that looks like. Maybe it's changing these two things slightly so you can save money. So it's really about like for you, what's your vision and what would make your life really interesting and fun for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be we're rewriting everything from scratch.
yeah, no, this is the thing. I think people when they stop dreaming or like they have this grand dream, it's like you got I sometimes look at it and go, look, if you're fulfilling small dreams
Mhm.
here, there, and everywhere, like if you perceive that dream as like just a brick in which goes into whatever you're trying to build. If you're trying to build a grand mansion, you have to have several dreams which you have to fulfill. Takes time, takes energy, but
Mhm.
you can build a grand mansion and everyone like if people stand on the outside and go, oh, look at that grand dream. You've done this one big thing. It's like, but no, it's a collection of many dreams which have come through.
Correct. I even think about your podcast, right? Like you didn't start with 330 episodes, you started with one, and then you had to
Uh,
get to five. And so a lot of times with my clients, I'm like, we're walking up a staircase, and all we have to do is take the next step. Because sometimes that's what overwhelms people too. It's like, well, how am I going to have a successful podcast with 1,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers, whatever the number is? It's like, well, do you have the equipment, right? Like, do you know what your topic is? Like, let's just start with very basics. And so sometimes it's really just taking it way back down from the dream to just step one. Like, what is the next thing we need to do? And with each step, you build confidence, you prove to yourself that you can do it, you grow a little bit, and then sometimes the steps get easier. And next thing you know, it's rolling and you're at podcast 330.
ah, yes. Oh, yeah. Blimey. 330.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
a mission and a half.
It's a nice round number.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. You know it's taken us to get onto this bit, onto air tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, 330. But you know what? Yeah, when, when I first started doing the podcast, yeah, as you say, started with one. Huh? If
Mhm.
if you listen to my first podcast episode, just me waxing lyrical by myself, and yeah, my first interview. Oh, that was a whew, challenge to say the least. But yeah,
But you
but
did it, and you can
yeah,
look back on it and go, was that my best one? No, but did I learn from it? Yes. And you might even say, like, my 225th was better than my, 300th. It's always just a process. And so giving ourselves the freedom, too, that it doesn't have to be perfect or look a certain way. We can just learn from it and try it. And it's
mm,
okay. Try it. See if you like it.
yeah. No, like this is the thing. I always say perfection is the ally to procrastination.
Yes.
Because when you get into that realm of it has to be perfect, if I don't have the light and so, or if I don't have no,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
get out there, as you say, like that kind of say paraphrasing, get out there, get dirty, get on down and do it.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah. Well, and that perfect idea too, like perfect to who or perfect to what, right? Because you're going to put out a podcast that you love, that a bunch of people love, and that other people are like, that didn't really resonate with me because that's not where I am in life. But then five other podcasts later, person who liked the last one is like, that one was okay. And this person's like, that was fabulous. So you never know who you're serving. It's really just like, how do I want to share this gift, this dream, whatever it is? And your people sort of find you, like the ones who resonate with you and want to be around you. So I think if we can let go of that idea that there's perfection, or like if I fail, it's the end of the world. Well, did you fail, or did you simply learn something and you'll do it differently, right? Like most of us aren't doing heart surgery where a failure is like that's life threatening. That's a big deal. But if you're like, I want to do a blog post for the first time, write it. It might be good, it might not be, but you learn something and you write the next one and it gets better every time. And so giving ourselves the freedom to try, I think, is a big thing too.
giving ourselves the freedom to fail when it's not heart surgery, of course.
Yeah. Certain areas, no, but most of us aren't doing that.
Yeah, but yeah, but like the whole thing is, I think some like because we get sort of so caught up with the whole realm of winning and victory in everything we're doing, that we don't allow ourselves to actually like we won't do anything to allow that failure to creep in,
Mhm.
where everyone who's a champion, everyone who's been a great success in life, they are like if you really dissected it all, they're the biggest failures in most sense. They have great success in one or two things, but
Mhm.
everything else they failed so many times,
Right.
but still back up.
Right. Because how else do you learn? If you don't try, you're not learning. There's no way to get better.
Mm. Oh, very true. Like yes. Now with like yeah, if you don't get up, very true. But like with this all, and like basically with people, like getting people to sort of, yeah, get over that hump of failure. How do you like manage to drag someone out of their sort of comfort zone to like take it, yeah, to take that risk or two, you know?
Yeah, a lot of times it's talking through perceptions of worst case scenarios.
Mm,
So if you do this thing, what are the worst things that we're imagining are going to happen? And if those happen, what's going to happen to you, right? Like our natural response is like, if I do that thing, I'm going to die, right? Like it's very dramatic. It's this very fight or flight moment. But if you email somebody and ask them, like, I'm writing a book, I'd really like this person to write the foreword to my book. Great, email them and ask. Like the worst that could happen literally is that they say no. Okay, what's going to happen to you if they say no? Disappointing, but how about you find somebody else to write the forward then? Right. So, like, it's usually much less dramatic than we have imagined it to be. And so, by really talking through it and saying out loud, these are the things I'm worried about. What's the reality of how good or bad they are? And, like, what are some alternatives to that? It diffuses a lot of it. Because otherwise, in our minds, we're really spinning out like, well, if I ask them, I want to email that person, but they're really busy. Well, their
mm,
schedule is none of your business. You're simply making the ask. They get to decide if they are too busy to talk to you or perfectly fine. And a lot of times I'll say to people, if I reached out to you and said, "Hey, I'd love to pick your brain for 20 minutes," how would you respond to me? "Oh, I'd love to talk to you." Yeah, exactly. Most people are open to it, but in our mind we think, well, they're too busy or they're going to be annoyed that I'm reaching out or like I'm bothering them. And so if we can take some of those things out, we
mm.
can move on, basically. And if the person says, "No, don't bother me again," like you're still fine. You might be a little bummed. It might be a little like, "Oh, okay, I did bother them," but we're really fine. So a lot of the time, it's just diffusing all of the concerns and stories that we're telling ourselves about what will happen if. So that's a lot
No.
of the work that I do with my clients too.
No, like this is the thing. I think with regard to like some of your clients, like if you got them to do sort of telephone sales or working in point, I think yes, they will be able to sort of persevere and get over quite a number of these things because, oh, like trust me, I work in sales and I've been told no so many
Oh,
times. It's like,
yeah.
oh, no, no. Yeah, look, damn, I've been told no so many times. I've almost responded to it like it's my name. No, yes. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
In the coaching world, in the sales world, don't they say, yes lives in the land of no. Like you have to get the no's to get to the yes. And the more no's you're getting, the closer you are to your yes. That's kind of how I think about it. And that's for people who, if you're doing a job search, if you're sales, if you're trying to sign new clients, like whatever it is, like the more no's you get, it means the more people you're talking to, it means the more likely you are to get your yes. But we are no averse. And so practicing being okay with it again because we consider no as like a failure or we take it personally, and it's none of those things. So if we can disconnect from it, it really helps us let go of a lot of these like outcomes or expectations or worst case scenario vibes that we're bringing into it.
yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Because like this is the thing. With life is a contact sport, and like if you're talking about, yeah, the whole executive C-suite, everything like that, it is a contact sport. The more contact you have, yeah, don't get me wrong, like if you're a dick and you're going around with making those contacts, yeah, dickish things will happen to you in life, like, yeah. But if like generally, if you're a good person, or like, you know what I mean, you bring positive energy to it,
Mhm.
that through those contacts, more times than not, it will come, uh, not necessarily right away, but it will come back to you in a positive manner rather than a dickish manner. Let's just say, you
I
know.
exactly. And I think
Mm,
everyone has the story of that, like, I haven't talked to that person in 2 years and they offered me a job, or,
mm,
that person asked me if I would help them with this thing and it turned into XYZ. Or, I went to that and listened to that thing and then made a new friend and now we've been best friends for 10 years. Like, you just don't know. And so why not? Like,
mm.
I really, I'm a strong advocate for what's the worst that could happen. If you're using wisdom, generally speaking, it's pretty minimal, especially if you're just expanding your network and making friends. right? So, yeah.
Yeah. I have to ask, like, how many new people have you added to your network in the last, say, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks. I'm not going out there like going,
Yeah.
hey, uh, oh
Probably
gosh.
8 in the last 2 weeks. This cough has been hanging on. Probably 8. Like I was on a call earlier today that was a listen in that ended up being a small group that ended up being everybody participating and then made 2 new connections with the potential to collaborate. So you just don't know. Like I went to that call just to listen and hear an interesting topic. And now here we are. And a couple of my very good friends are people who I've met through, hey, I saw that you know so and so, and I could I pick your brain for 20 minutes? Absolutely. And now we talk, every couple of weeks and share ideas and collaborate. So it's just really interesting. And I feel like I like to say yes as much as possible
Mhm.
while also protecting my yes at the same time. So I try to be thoughtful in what I'm saying yes to and say yes to things that are exciting and interesting to me so that my yes has meaning, but also not be adverse to talking to somebody new or saying yes to an opportunity that comes along.
It's a case of you realize your yes has value and as well as power to it. And yes, the more you use that yes, the less powerful it is and the less valuable it is.
Correct. And I'm not saying yes from a standpoint of people
Yeah.
pleasing, which a lot of
Yeah.
people, struggle with, which is, oh, well, they asked, so I have to say yes. No, 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 I don't. But let me think about it. And does it seem interesting to me? Is it something that I can help that person? Is it something that could be an interesting collaboration? I'll think through certain things about it and go, yeah, I'll talk for 20 minutes because that's fine. And I have the 20 minutes. But at the same time, if it's something where I'm like, no, that's really not for me, I'm also feel totally comfortable saying no.
Ah, I hear you. I hear you. Because like I think with regards to like saying yes, sometimes people are people pleasing. They say yes too much,
Mhm.
and on the other flip of the coin, people say no too much, and like it's a very tricky thing to balance, as you just mentioned. Now, now I have to ask, with regards to yourself and your coaching.
Mhm.
Now, I know you're not a person what likes going, yeah. How do you see where do you see yourself in 3 years time or something like that? Yeah,
Mhm.
most really one of those like nail on chalkboard questions for you. But like with regards to how you want to sort of develop and grow on your journey,
Mhm.
what would be one or two key things you might want to achieve over the next few months or the year?
Oh, I love that. That's a great question. And you're right. I don't love the 5 year question because I think if you would have asked me last year where I would be this time this year, where I am
Mhm.
versus what I would have said would have been completely different. So I like having a long term vision, but I don't necessarily think of it quite that like in 1 year this has to come to pass.
Yeah.
For me, when it comes to like growth within my coaching practice, it's always interesting to coach someone who's in a field or a type of role or who runs a business that I've never coached before to learn a little bit more about the kinds of things that they're working on because it's interesting, right? I'm a coach, not a consultant, so I don't need to know somebody's business. And we are all humans, so a lot of times we see the same types of issues that come up because people are people. But it's interesting to coach somebody who's in a different field or something I haven't heard of before because I get to learn about it and find out like what their challenges are or how their unique industry affects the way they're dealing with something like confidence or people pleasing, one of the things we're talking about. So for me, something that I look to for like growth in my business and as a coach is coaching people who are just essentially expanding my view of the world and how I coach, which is always really interesting. um, and I have not personally traveled very much in the last like 12 to 18 months. So I would like to take a trip this year, although I haven't decided if it's going to be international or just somewhere around the United States because I feel like there are so many lovely places just to see here.
Mm, like this is the thing. Oh, liking it, liking it. What I would simply say to you is this: like, yeah, I have been quite fortunate to go to America
Mhm.
as a summer camp counselor in the 90s.
Nice.
That doesn't date me, but yeah,
No,
but
it
yeah.
doesn't.
But I've been up and down the east coast of the United States,
Mhm.
as far south as ooh, DC.
Okay.
And been further south than that. No, Maryland's north. No, yeah. So as far as south as DC,
Gotcha.
uh, in Virginia, everything like this. As much as I would like to go, yes, America has many a beautiful place.
Mhm.
Like I would say, yeah, travel internationally while you can.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's like look, when like yeah, let's just say all I've got to say is look, we've oh, they'll never shut the borders down. 2020, say no more.
Yeah. Good
And
call. Good call, Miwa. I like that.
I would say if you can go somewhere internationally, where would you go? Uh, on that, what?
I I would like to go to Italy. I've never been, and that's where my family is originally from. So that's on my bucket list.
Okay. Oh, go to Rome.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I've been there. Let's just say, like, if you're crossing the road, like, you're taking your life in your own hands.
okay.
It's like, yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. All I got to say is there's no car which does not have a dent
Oh.
in it. Oh God, yes.
And have you
Scooters
been
coming.
to Iceland to see the Northern Lights? I also would love to do that.
I would love to go to Iceland
Mm.
because, like, this is the thing with Iceland. It's just like, yeah, would love to see the Northern Lights, go like see the geothermals, everything like that. Like, yeah, and sort of just generally hang out. But it's just one of those things. Iceland is there, but I don't know when I'll have time to get there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just there. But I would like to do that and other things. Maybe get out to the west coast of the United States
Oh,
or
yeah.
see the we shall see. But yeah, like like with this, like I have to ask: is there like if there is there a person you would have loved to either like sit like learn from their coaching techniques
Mhm.
like throughout time or history, or like or you would have loved to be a coach of?
Oh, I have not coached a professional athlete yet,
Yeah.
and that is something I would really love to do because they are already at a certain level like mentally to be able
Hmm.
to get where they are. So learning more about how they like the tools that they already utilize and then helping them kind of even surpass to the next level, I think would be super interesting and exciting. So that's like one of my thoughts where I think like because if you are an Olympic level weightlifter or if you are, at a certain level in the NBA or the NFL, you have overcome a ton. Like, perseverance, mindset. So, what kind of like minor tweaks are you making at that level to take yourself even up a notch? That's fascinating to me.
Ah, do you think it'll be a case of helping them make that leap, but it'll be also a quantum leap for yourself to see, like, take you on to the next level of coaching?
That would be the goal.
Ah,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah. I,
Like, oh, sorry, go on. You
no,
were
I,
about
I just, I always thought that that would be really an interesting way to coach, an interesting industry to coach in.
to. Oh, there's God. Like, have you watched the documentary The Last Dance?
Why does it sound familiar to me? Tell me more.
Like basically, it's the Bulls last season where they had Jordan, Pippen, Rodman.
Hmm.
Like basically, it was like, let's just say if there was a team what could be perfectly constructed
Hmm.
for basketball, it was pretty much that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was their last run of it all. Yeah, like just a sort of the mentality monster, or which is one Michael Jordan, to like see what he actually like his
Hmm.
teammates through, as well as himself.
Yeah.
It like it's in some regards it's really something to be admired, but in other regards it's quite terrifying in the same like in the same
Yeah.
vein. No.
Yeah. Well, and like that's like what we were talking about earlier when I was saying like, oh, I'm going to be a weightlifter.
Mm,
It. if everyone is not of that mindset, it's scary. And so, it's interesting. And like I talk to people sometimes, and we're talking, and they're not necessarily the right fit for a coach, or they're not ready, or they don't even know if they want coaching. It's not for everybody. So something at that level, even there, it's not for everybody. Like I'm good being really good. I don't have to be number one. Sometimes people even feel like that. So it's interesting watching how people navigate that.
Yeah. Okay. No, like it a lot. Like I am surprised you do not have like a podcast or a book out yourself.
No, I am regularly a guest on podcasts. I love participating, but
No.
I have not led one. No.
Why is that? Because you like got a good temperament, good like great character.
Oh,
Like
thank you. You
yep.
know what? It never just it hasn't been on my heart yet.
Oh,
Same thing with the
yeah.
book. A couple of times someone's been like, "You need to write a book." I'm like, "I don't know what I would write about yet." So when God strikes me with that lightning bolt and he's like, "There's your story. I'll do it."
Okay. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe executive coaching. I don't know. Maybe that's a
I don't
topic you
know.
should be able to cover.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I'll keep it in
Oh,
mind.
no, no worries. You know what? At this present time, I'm like just I have one more question,
Sure.
and then I will leave you to go on your merry way. Yeah, on your merry
That
way.
sounds good,
Yeah,
Noah.
no worries. I am a being of cosmic power. You did not know this because my modesty, ha, like saves the day. Like yeah. I control all things except technology when it decides to screw up on me. But that's another
You
story.
overcame.
Yeah, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Now, I have the power to grant you one wish and one wish only, because you seem to be one of those types which is tricky and like sneaky in some regards. Just like yeah, no wishing for 1,000 more wishes. No writing down on a piece of paper and going, I want all these, like everything on this piece of paper to come true. Yeah. No, like, yeah, no giving away your wish or wishing for world peace.
Okay.
Like, yeah, wishing for no, nothing to do with COVID because Jesus, like I had to pull on the powers of Beyonce and Dolly Parton. And look, like,
No,
yeah, like yeah, to get world peace, good God, I'm gonna have to pull on those two and the power of Taylor Swift.
that's
Who knows?
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna bring in like yeah, Barbara Streisand and Diana Ross. That's like world ending. Yeah,
That's
like
next year's Super Bowl show right there.
well, there you go. Diva in the house tonight. now, now, with this one wish, what would you wish for?
Oh my goodness. I have no idea. I'm going to need to think about that. What would I wish for?
And
Ugh,
not forgetting, why would you wish for it?
yeah. I don't think I want to wish for something practical. It'd be something more fun. What would I wish for? I am a firm believer in experiences over things. So I would love to have the finances to take my friends on like a world tour trip where we went to like 10 different countries or 20 different countries. I don't know, it's a wish, all the countries, but where we could really just see and experience all these different cultures and places together and make memories. And that's what I would wish for. I think that would just be fabulous.
Excellent. How many people would be on your crew of friends on this magical trip?
Well, I don't want to put a number because then certain friends might be like, "Am I in that?" Let's call it 10.
Am I in that? Mm. Oh my lord, I can just see it now. Carnage, people, carnage.
I'd have to be very cutthroat in who came.
Okay, yeah, no, no. Like when I say, yeah, you might be cutthroat where you came. I just pity the country, the town, the city where you guys descend on it.
Yeah, it would be so much fun, right? The
Ah,
memories we would make, and we could try all different foods, and yeah, it would be great.
awesome. I'm loving it. Loving
Mhm.
it. Ah, yes. I have no more questions for you today. I am spent, as they say. spent. Yeah.
Now we'll go eat dinner.
Oh, indeed we will. But can you let the lovely people know how they can find you on these interwebs?
Yes, they can go to my website, which is alyssajoshua.com. So if you can see my name down there, it's just myname.com, or find me on LinkedIn and shoot me a message. And I love to meet people and converse. So let's chat.
Excellent. Go out there, find her, chat away, and yes, let the wisdom bombs drop upon you. Yes. Alyssa, thank you for coming on today. You have been a star, a gem, a one for the ages. There you
Thank
go.
you.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I love it. And I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end of the show. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day. Peace. Oh, yeah. And we are out.